Okay. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Just giving a little bit more time. It's 11 o'clock. I think we can wait probably just one more minute to see if more of the media and our directors join. If not, we will kick off. Just bear with us. Thanks. Welcome, Hendy. Glad to see you were able to join us. Okay, well, I think we are going to kick off with the members of the media who have joined us. So thank you so much for being here with us this morning as we get ready to launch our 25th anniversary celebrations. And so this morning we have our president, Mr. Derrick Cummins, who is going to deliver brief remarks. And then we're going to share a pre-recorded message from our Prime Minister commemorating this event. So Derrick, and my name is Carmel Haynes. I'm the Executive Director of BIBA. So Derrick, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmel. Good morning, directors, members, and staff of BIBA, strategic partners, especially invited guests and members of the media. As the 18th president of this dynamic business support organization, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you this morning as we mark the 25th anniversary of what has evolved into BIBA, the Association for Global Business. On this date, way back in 1997, the Registrar of Companies incorporated BABCOB, that is BAIB-COB Association Inc., which was derived from the Barbados Association of International Business Companies and offshore banks. In those early days, the framers of this new association set its simple purpose as to promote goodwill in the Barbados business community and an undertaking of the role of international business companies in Barbados and professional and fraternal relationships. A few short months later, the Canada-Barbados Business Association, CBBA, and the Barbados International Insurance Association, BIIA, were embraced into this one body, and the name BAB-COB, try remembering all of this, was amended in November 1997 to the Barbados International Business Association, Inc. And yes, that sounds a whole lot better. And then, of course, in 2020, we rebranded as BIBA, the Association for Global Business, to signal that we embrace all companies in Barbados who service global markets, both domestic and international, and to align with Prime Minister Mottley's express goal to cement Barbados as a global business hub. BIBA has a current membership of over 140 companies drawn from Canada, the US, the UK, Latin America, and Europe, primarily in banking and wealth management, insurance, fintech, manufacturing, logistics, legal, accounting, tax, corporate service providers, and many more. Well, in 1997, the newly formed BIBA had as its simple purpose to provide a forum for exchange of ideas, Over the past 25 years, we have expanded the boundaries of these early missions to set ourselves on a path to be a trusted strategic partner in the advancement and sustainability of global business conducted in and from Barbados. And I would like to say that we have been successful, that BIBA is now indeed synonymous with the international business sector and all that goes on in it. And I would say in pursuit of these goals, BIBA holds seats on the boards of Invest Barbados and the Barbados Private Sector Association. And as a member of the BPSA, BIBA participates in the full social partnership dialogue to arrive at collective solutions for economic and social challenges facing the country. BIBA is a member of the Barbados Treaty Negotiation Team, the mechanism responsible for the negotiation of bilateral investment treaties and double taxation agreements. BIBA also has a seat at the Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Plan, BERT, monitoring committee that monitors the government's implementation of the Economic Recovery Plan agreed with the IMF. From 2018 to 2019, BIBA spearheaded the formation of a task force of private and public sector representatives to provide informed professional guidance to the government on the reformation of the Barbados tax regime to comply with the stipulations of the OECD's base erosion and profit shifting, which resulted in us being removed from both the OECD and EU blacklists at that time. In September 2021, the leadership and members of BIBA collaborated in a strategic retreat led by Invest Barbados and the Ministry of International Business to redefine and chart a new path forward for the global business sector. In short, BIBA has successfully gained a seat at the table, a voice at the table on all matters that impact this sector and the island and our economy as a whole. That has been our aim, that has been our goal, to be a meaningful partner to all the stakeholders. And we have been successful in doing so over the last 25 years, and ultimately the last couple of years, the last 2 to 3 years also. And speaking about recent times, the last 2 years have no doubt been the most challenging in our history as BIBA and its members, as we grappled not only with the global pandemic, but external regulatory challenges from the Financial Action Task Force, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, that being the OECD, and the European Union, that made business in and from Barbados extremely challenging. However, the global business sector has remained resilient, and BIBA has continued to champion the role this sector has played in stabilizing the Barbados economy throughout this most recent crisis, as we have few layoffs, little business interruption, and contributed millions of dollars in foreign exchange to the net international reserves, allowing Barbados to maintain its more than 13 weeks of import cover. Not to mention the addition to the tax revenue of Barbados over this period of overall decline in other areas of the economy. Now, as war escalates in Eastern Europe, the Barbados economy braces for further shocks. Once again, having a sector of the economy that is well diversified in professional services, insurance, banking and wealth management, financial technology, pharmaceuticals, renewables, and more can and will help spread the risk around. Over the course of the next year, BIBA will be casting a spotlight on the various industries within the sector and what is on the cutting edge of business as we look forward to the next 25 years. On March 21st and 22nd, we will be hosting our Barbados Risk and Insurance Management Conference. What is looking very much Let's go again. So we will be hosting BRIM, Barbados Risk and Insurance Management Conference on March 21st and 22nd. This is looking very much at how new technologies such as predictive modeling and artificial intelligence are driving forward the insurance industry, and also what the future of risk management will look like in a world of shifting geopolitical and economic fortunes. In April, we will be hosting a seminar focused on the future of financial services and the opportunities for Barbados as a financial center, paying particular attention to how technology can transform financial services and make it more inclusive. In May, we will be hosting a global leaders forum that will be drawing in thousands, well, many thought leaders from some of the largest multinational firms domiciled on the island to give insight into what they see as the future for centers such as Barbados. In June, we will turn our attention to our professional services members as we highlight developments in business facilitation important to our corporate service providers. And of course, in October from the 23rd to the 28th, we will be hosting our flagship week of activities for the third staging of Global Business Week, which we are hoping to hold as a series of hybrid events once there are no further COVID spikes caused by any new variants entering our shores. Encapsulating all of this, we will be publishing for our Silver Jubilee commemorative magazine intended to capture our various celebratory events over the course of this year, as well as providing a historical record of BIBA's last 25 years, while projecting a forward focus as to where we expect the organization and Barbados to be in the next 25 years. We are also very pleased to be relaunching our website, which has a new look and feel, and most importantly, the introduction of a secured members forum, a section where BIBA members can find information specific to them from BIBA and their strategic partners, as well as a message board where members can raise questions and discuss issues. This is an exciting time for BIBA. And on behalf of my board of directors, I would like to thank our members for having brought us this far. Thank our strategic partners, particularly within the government, for their support. And also our secretariat for having been the engine of the association, first under the stewardship of our longest serving executive director, Mr. Henderson Holmes, who I'm pleased is joining us this morning. And now more recently, under the direction of Ms. Carmel Haynes. Thank you all for your support. I will now invite you to listen to a special greeting from our Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Mottley, who, like our new line minister, the Honorable Kerry Simmons, could not join us live this morning as they are participating in the estimates debates in Parliament, but we know they celebrate with us. Thank you all for listening.
Good morning, everyone. I'm extremely happy to be here with you today, albeit in the virtual sense, to celebrate this major moment in BIBA's history. I first want to offer my sincerest congratulations and appreciation for the role that you have played in advancing global business in our country. In your invitation, you mentioned, and I made a note so I could quote it directly, that our membership is greatly desirous of your new priorities as you chart a path for global business in this new administration, unquote. And I was pleased to see that we were indeed in one accord in terms of understanding the pivotal role that the international business sector must continue to play in our country's development. But what I think is more important is that BIBA's membership recognizes that the distinction between the government and the private sector, of which BIBA represents a very important part, needs to be redefined. Indeed, the days of us and them must come to an end. The ring fencing is not simply to be removed between global and international business and local business, but also between government and business. And so therefore, when we talk about charting a new path for global business, each and every one of you must see yourselves as equally invested in this journey of our nation, this journey of your business. Because the moment that our private sector partners themselves see themselves merely as passive recipients of a government mandate, we are starting then with a disadvantage. I want to take this opportunity to hit the reset button. Over the years, BIBA has been one of the government's most valued partners in the advancement of global business in our country. This is crucial, particularly in this moment of hyper-globalization, where borders are even more porous than ever. The depth of the world's interconnectedness is exemplified time and time again throughout this pandemic, and indeed the consequences of global conflict is neither blessing nor curse, but simply a reality that the global community needs to come to terms with very quickly. And so we ask ourselves, and I do mean we, because government cannot do this alone. How does this small island, a newly formed republic brimming with a spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation, effectively leverage what we have and who we are to make sure that we have a major stake in this new global landscape? This is not, or rather it should not be, a government mandate, but a guiding principle for both public and private sectors to transform the lives of each and every Barbadian. And this is absolutely something of which Barbados, my friends, is capable. We might be small, but what we have been able to do thus far is encouraging. We consistently rank among the highest in Latin America and the Caribbean across all the development indicators that matter: transparency, availability of latest technologies, global competitiveness, economic freedom, soundness of banks. We have well-established and well-regulated corporate structures with transparent policies and effective laws. Our reputation for political, social, and economic stability precedes us. And thanks to forward-thinking initiatives like the Welcome Stamp program, the world is beginning to recognize us for the innovative nation that we are fast becoming. Our people are not only highly educated, they're industrious, they're warm, and they're brilliant. We know what we bring to the table. What we need to do now is actively pursue those opportunities that will bring the highest quality international brands to the other side of the bargaining table to ultimately create best-in-class enduring partnerships. And I also know that we need to make some decisions to make ourselves and what we do even stronger and better, which may mean that we will have to push away some of the historic risk-averse legacy that has been ours passed through the centuries. Let me pause here again to emphasize that we, the word we, because this is not the royal we as you know. I literally mean that this must be priority number one for the public and the private sector, for all of us who work in the cause of Barbados. And BIBA, my friends, must be a driving force in pursuing these types of investment opportunities all around the world. Because global business really is the domain of the private sector, this is critical. The government will do what is necessary to make the domestic environment one that is exceptionally attractive and conducive to doing the caliber of business that we need to do to attract people to our shores. We will also establish commercial diplomacy by expanding our horizons and opening up in Africa and Central America, as we have done in the last 3 years, in spite of all of our challenges. But it is you, the private sector, that has the infrastructure to build strong business-to-business relationships, because connections are at the heart of business. You know how to network instinctively. You are the ones with the inherent capacity to seek out opportunities and to grow partnerships all around the world, from Nairobi to Abu Dhabi to New York, all of which we have a presence in now. Barbados, my friends, is open for serious business. This government is hyper-focused on growing our economy by double digits within the next few years. So indeed, when I say to you, many hands must make light work, you know what is the destination we are making light work towards. Because I know this is an audacious goal, but the world is in the throes of rapid change and immense transformation. That is why I'm speaking to you in these blunt terms. A revolution, my friends, is coming, or maybe some might argue it is already here. And Barbados can either get lost in the tide, or we can do as many of our surfers do, ride this wave into a bright, bold future. One that creates opportunity and a high quality of life for every one of our citizens. BIBA needs to see itself as the primary means of operationalizing this vision of double-digit growth. I really do need you to do that. The path to the kind of economic growth that moves an entire society forward lies in partnerships that offer quality jobs and opportunities for our citizens at every level. And it is time for us to grow beyond the traditional call center model and pursue those other BPO partnerships that have the potential to transform lives and to add great value. The government, as I said, will do its part through a combination of ceiling-shattering policies and high-quality investments. But again, I stress that this action has to be a deeply collaborative process. We've already embarked on a number of ambitious projects. These projects are designed specifically to create the landscape where our private sector partners can feel confident in bringing the world's best companies to do business within our shores. We will transform the way we do business in Barbados, as we are started to do. We've commenced with our own digital revolution. And this is the direction in which the world is trending. The metaverse, the Internet of Things, cryptocurrency, fintech. These are innovations which are forming the bedrock of a society. And even if they are complex, we have the capacity to deconstruct and reconstruct to protect our involvement in it while at the same time going along with the wave as far as we can. And so, my friends, our goal of transforming Barbados into what we've termed a smart nation is absolute. We will have a full-fledged innovative economy that is propelled by world-class technologies. This process, as I said, has started with our digitization of the Corporate Affairs Office and the new identification cards which are about to be rolled out. Through the development of a new GovTech agency, we will be adopting highly advanced technologies like blockchain, cloud computing, and incorporating greater use of data analytics as our new standard for delivering public goods and services. Indeed, our approach to statistics needs to morph into a strong data analytics agency rather than simply the compilation of statistics. So we will increase investment in STEAM education. Yes, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, to ensure our young people are equipped with the skills and the empathy to enter a modern workforce, underpinning the development of Barbados as a global fintech hub. Decentralized finance, crypto and other blockchain and fintech activities like digital exchanges and yield apps are becoming increasingly mainstream, and it is important that Barbados is at the forefront of this movement. We've had a number of meetings with global players over the course of the last few weeks, and we're confident that we can hold fast to our protection of individual consumers and our system, while at the same time creating the opportunities for this innovative development in the area of finance that will allow and empower more people to earn in this world. It means, of course, amending and developing new financial regulatory systems and modernizing our corporate laws to allow for these changes to take effect in a meaningful way. Our corporate legislation, our Companies Act, is actually now over 40 years old, and therefore it is critical that we seek to bring it in fully to the 21st century, third decade. Modernizing our operations is critical not only so that we can take advantage of these emerging technologies and the new legislative framework, but to improve the ease of doing business in our country. As Bajans, we like to dot our I's and cross our T's. Yes, as I said earlier, we have a legacy of being risk averse, and it is critical that we understand that while that quality has served us very well, we now need to enter this new phase of our development, recognizing that we may have to take a few more risks, recognizing that many of our processes need to be streamlined in order to attract the kinds of partnerships we've been discussing. I'm happy to have Senior Minister Duguid on board to spearhead this process with me, along with Minister Chantal Munro-Knight, as improving the ease of doing business in Barbados is central to our portfolio in the Prime Minister's office. We're all aware of the growing climate crisis. I've spoken about it over and over, in fact, ad nauseum. Its impact on small island developing states like Barbados cannot be ignored. And that is why we must also pursue developments that push us towards becoming a more sustainable and environmentally friendly country. Green investment is growing exponentially. And luckily, green technologies are not new to this country. So we are perfectly positioned to take advantage of the renewed interest in sustainable development. We have a proud legacy with solar water heaters that I say is almost second to none in the Americas. The government will work alongside stakeholders like the Green Climate Fund and other investors to establish a new green investment bank with digital operations, and we hope that this will be operational as early as mid-2023. This investment bank will present a wealth of opportunity, initially offering at least $150 million in financing to support green investments, green bonds, regional transport for cargo, small renewable energy projects, and other initiatives that promote climate resilience and sustainability, especially in our tourism, manufacturing, and agricultural sectors. My friends, there is much scope also within the blue economy to attract significant international investment. I've said it many times, but it is worth repeating. Our exclusive economic zone is more than 400 times greater than our physical land mass. We have been at the center of maritime research in the past, maybe not as fully as we would have liked to be, but we've had people doing research here on the East Coast and the West Coast of our nation for over 60 years. Our ocean space has major potential to be a driver of growth in this country. It is true that our national colors, blue and yellow, are part of our identity, and that blue continues to remind us of the ocean being our destiny. My government is committed to continuing the investment in research, to explore our ocean's many possibilities, to working with partners as we have done with different universities and countries to see how we can add to the world's knowledge of what the ocean offers all of us globally. The conversion also of sargassum to biofuel, the potential production of blue hydrogen, green hydrogen as well, using wave energy, ocean thermal energy conversion, and deep sea oil, gas, and mineral wealth continues to be part and parcel of what lies in that ocean, and for us to be able to understand how best to manage, exploit, and preserve where necessary. My friends, this is only a snapshot of where we intend to take our country. I believe that Barbados is on the precipice of a very, very exciting future. But we have to see it as our joint responsibility. That two-letter word, we. And I don't think that there's anyone here who doesn't dream of a better Barbados. A Barbados where UWI graduates no longer spend weeks or months or years searching for a job. A country where no one works a whole day and still has to wonder how to make ends meet. A place that is known globally for its ambition and innovation, but most of all for its deep commitment to building a fair and equitable society. A country where relationships matter more than transactions. At the beginning of my remarks, I spoke about the importance of building and maintaining meaningful connections in today's deeply interconnected world. As I speak, I'm sure the proverbial butterfly is flapping its wings elsewhere, somewhere off the coast of Africa, causing a shift in the tide off our shores. And there will be no severing or reversing these global linkages, many of which have been unknowingly formed, but are now central to our existence, our very existence, in this our global community. Yes, my friends, we are reclaiming our Atlantic destiny. Africa matters and has a demographic dividend that we need to work with them to see how we can make our parts of the world, our countries, better and ultimately global civilization. Perhaps one of the greatest ironies of the COVID-19 pandemic is that being forced to physically distance revealed the thousands of ways that we are truly connected. And so to be truly a global nation, across all sectors, we must collaborate to build bridges where there are none, and most important, to ensure that no one is left behind. Again, my friends, I congratulate you on this achievement of your anniversary. We have a long road ahead of us. And while there is no way to know precisely what lies ahead, we know we must get going. We must move this country towards its next stage of development, and we must do it together, hand in hand, walking steadily along the path to a future Barbados of which we can all be proud. When I said on the 2nd of January 2020 that we must become world-class in 7 years, I meant it. What we didn't know was that we would have a 2-year hiatus. And there's nothing therefore wrong with resetting the goal. Barbados must be world-class by 2030. And I trust and pray BIBA and the members of BIBA will help us reach that destination. I wish you many, many more years of exciting life and indeed partnership with the government and people of our nation. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you too to our Prime Minister for that energetic and embracing presentation. And so now, as we draw to a close this media launch, I just wanted to ask the media in attendance if they had any questions for our President, Mr. Derrick Cummins. Sorry, you can raise your hand and then we can enable you to speak if you so desire. Okay, we have a question from Marlon Madden. Christy, can you enable Marlon to speak?
Hi, thanks very much. Good morning, everybody. My question is in relation to something the Prime Minister said about partnerships. I want to find out if BIBA could speak to any plans in the pipeline as it relates to this area of forming deeper partnerships, whether it be locally and regionally or internationally.
Sure, thanks, Marlon. And I'm going to actually have Carmel update you on what we've been doing with Guyana over the past year, and also very, very recently. She attended the mission in Guyana just the other day, 2 weeks ago. That is one major partnership that we're looking at. We've also looked at in the past, similar organizations in the region to expand such partnerships with. But tell us a bit more about the initiative in Guyana, Cameron, which is critical, really.
Thank you, Derrick. And so, yes, Marlon, I mean, obviously, as we would have mentioned as Derrick would have mentioned in his presentation, we are very much partners with the other business support organizations in Barbados through the Barbados Private Sector Association. But more recently, we have been looking at other organizations outside of Barbados with shared interests who we can partner with. And so, as Derrick mentioned, since last year, having been introduced by our new Canadian High Commissioner, Her Excellency Lillian Chatterjee, to the Barbados Canada Chamber of Commerce in Guyana. We have had a joint seminar with them when I was in Guyana with the recent investment and trade mission led by the Prime Minister 2 weeks ago. I had a meeting with their CEO to look at how we can jointly hold sessions for our members with mutual interest, because as you would know, Barbados, and as mentioned by Derrick, BIBA's roots lie very much in the Canadian business sector. So we do have that legacy in terms of our shared membership. But also as Barbados looks more into going into Guyana and partnering with Guyana, BIBA has been embraced by the special envoy to Guyana and Suriname, Ms. Althea Wiggins, as part of the team. So right now we are planning with her for the inward mission into Barbados that will be coming in early April of Guyanese business people. And so we've been, involved in the planning meetings for that. We're looking at how we can support the expansion of services into Guyana, because obviously global business now with their oil boom is something that's new to them. They've recently passed at the end of last year something called local content legislation, which sets out a framework for international and regional investors to be able to partner with Guyanese in taking advantage of the oil boom. So clearly, BIBA wants to be able to communicate to our members how they can benefit from that. And I was very pleased that we had 4 member firms represented on the mission that went to Guyana 2 weeks ago. So we would have had Platinum Platinum International Management Services. We would have had a representation from Capita Financial, Carib LPG, and also Caribbean Consultants Limited. So we had representatives from those 4 companies. And then of course, Regis, which is a member of BIBA, also has a presence in Guyana, and they hosted many of the private sector joint meetings for Barbados and Guyana, representatives of the private sector. So yes, we're definitely looking at creating new linkages and partnerships beyond Barbados while still strengthening the ones that we have here.
Yes,
Oh, thanks. Yes,
I have
Mottley?
another question, right? I want you to tell me, I know you mentioned, well, Derrick mentioned earlier about, the sector being resilient, but what's the biggest lesson that you would say that you've learned in the past 2 years regarding the pandemic? And what are some of, or the most significant change that you could point to for the organization that's now 25 years?
Well, lessons learned was a lot of it was knowledge reinforced, really, that we can grow this industry without brick and mortar. And what we have now, we can grow this industry to any size that we want, without adding crazy costs, without adding plant infrastructure, machinery, all that stuff. Because what we do, we do it with our simple technology, our phones, our computer, such the devices. We reach people in Latin America, in Canada, in Europe, all over the world, from at home, from our desks, in our offices, in our cars, as we travel. And we always, and Henderson Holmes is in the room, and he would always talk about how you could multiply this industry simply with very little build out. And the pandemic showed that we could carry it on very easily with little build out, with no further build out, with no drop in service, with very minimal loss of employees, a sustaining of revenue, a sustaining of clients. Yes, some deals slowed down. Business globally slowed in some areas for a season, so that would have some impact. But it proves a lot of what we knew. It evidenced the government's wisdom in lowering the tax rate from in the 20s, 25 down to the 5% and downward. It evidenced the thought that the international business sector would still retain or will be able to add substantially to the government's revenue, tax revenue, and that our tax intake would still be robust. And that was the case. Yes, we lost the taxes from tourism and some other industries, but the taxation that we got from this sector was able to support substantially the revenue of government. So, you know what, it more than learning lessons, it reinforced and evidenced a lot of what we knew and have been saying for the past 25 years. Carmel?
Thanks, Derrick. Yeah, I think I would agree with everything that you've said. And I think basically it encapsulates just how much digital plays a role in not only how BIBA itself was able to pivot and still manage to share knowledge and embrace our members, but also how the economy on a whole managed to continue to keep going in these very physically distant times, where we saw the banks, the supermarkets, the government agencies step up and create opportunities and platforms where business could continue to get done, even amidst all of the various lockdowns and closures. And obviously, being a region that is very prone to natural disasters, it really behoves us to have done this years before. But like so many other things, COVID has been the catalyst to allow us to continue to do business, even in the face of business interruptions. Are there any further questions?
I have one more, if you may permit.
Okay.
Thanks. Right. In your comments, you mentioned earlier as well that we should brace for some shocks as it relates to the war with Russia and Ukraine. Could you say what likely shocks can we expect as it relates to this sector specifically, and what systems are likely to be put in place or are you putting in place to mitigate?
What I would say is that when we see, for instance, the Paradise Papers that came out last year, I mean, when you look through, you saw a lot of stuff coming out of Eastern Europe, Russia, etc. But you saw little or no mention of Barbados. Directly and direct business, that is not a region that a lot of our service providers deal with. You know, my previous job, I'm a corp banking trust now. My previous bank I was at, the shareholder was in Eastern Europe, Czech Republic. And even that institution in 2017, 2016 had pulled back from doing business with Russia. You would think they know them well and they understand and they can see all the way through. But that institution pulled back from doing business with Russia. So what you will find is that there will not be a lot of direct business with that region of the world. So that aspect is one thing. Deals, however, we have to look now, every institution in BIBA, every bank in Barbados, every bank and trust has to look at the list of sanctions. Look at the banks that are on sanctions list, look at individuals that are on sanctions list, and make sure and secure that they're not in their books in anywhere. They're not doing business with them. They're not transacting with them. If there are any accounts in their bank, etc., they need to figure out real fast how to treat with them. What does the sanction mean? Does it mean that it's a freeze on their funds? You cannot then act on them. So it is stuff like that. And everybody right now, this Monday morning or from last year, looking to know exactly their exposure. So that's the first thing that you have to do. The possible pain will be the pain that the entire island could eventually feel, really. Prices. Oil prices have been going up for some time, and you know they jumped significantly last week. As new contracts come up, as new oil is landed on Barbados, the prices will change. It could be another further impact on logistics. So we need to see how that goes. Shipping logistics, will there be further slowdowns, etc. And the next thing is the timing, the term. With all these sanctions, sanctions aren't turned on and turned off, turned on and turned off. What is the exit strategy? Even if Russia stop its onslaught now and pull back, you know, sanctions aren't off immediately. So we're in this for a long haul, I think. Even if hopefully the war is short and it comes to an end and Russia pulls back, we're in this position for a long haul. But I think, again, separate from the fact that a lot of direct business between Barbados or Barbados service providers and Russia isn't happening, and that everybody will check to ensure and know exactly who they're dealing with, and if they're dealing with anyone from that region. We are just holding on for pricing shocks that may come.
Thanks, Derrick. Marlon, I'd like to move on now because Wendy had a question. Christy, if you could please enable Wendy's audio. Okay, Wendy, you can speak now.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Carmel. My question for Mr. Cummins was, in terms of the Prime Minister asking for the sector to be a major player in what we want to do in terms of growing where Barbados stands internationally, are there any major policies or changes that BIBA would want to see forthcoming at this point in time to be able to enable its members to be able to do that better? Are there any things right now that are creating any type of gridlock in terms of doing business on behalf of the members?
Yeah, there are still some, thanks Wendy for your question. There are, excuse me, there are still some products and services that Barbados would like to implement. We have, for instance, foundation legislation. Globally, a lot of business is done via foundations, family business, etc., philanthropy. We have written legislation, but I don't think at this point in time it's fully proclaimed and workable. So that's one area for sure. We have under the FSC mutual fund legislation, investment, which can be used for investment purposes, but it is not completely fit for purpose. The FSC has been talking about revamping that legislation. We would like to see a call to the table for us to start working on that. I know it is something that they have in mind. What the sector wants above everything else is to be able to do what we say we will do. As service providers, you talk to clients every day and you are promising them that you can deliver. We want to be able to deliver. So therefore, we look at things like KIPO, and we know KIPO has successfully rolled out phase 1 of its technology revamping. We are awaiting the rollout of phase 2, which will allow us to faster and more swiftly do business. So just continue to lay out the different platforms, the taxation, the immigration, the business registry, etc., that allows us to challenge. We can challenge for quality. We want to also challenge for timing. We want to challenge for cost, because we are not the only sector out there trying to grab the business, the only jurisdiction. So we want to be able to be nimble in many areas. But yeah, a continued seat at the many tables as we look to get legislation, new legislation, or revamp some legislation, because obviously at the end of 2018, we amended maybe 2021 pieces of legislation. Obviously doing that quickly, when you put it into action, you find little gaps in here, little things that in practice are not the best. So we have over the past 2 years managed to get some changes, or even get guidance notes from the central bank, from Ministry of International Business, from BRA, things like that. Even though the legislation may be imperfect, these guidance from our regulators go a long way in allowing us to get in our boardrooms and speak with confidence to our clients about what the platform, what can be done here in Barbados. So that's the main thing I would say in response to your question, Wendy. Carmel, anything specific you want to add there?
Oh, thanks, Derrick. I didn't have anything further to add. We will take one final question. Does anybody else have another question before we wrap up? Again, your audio is not enabled until we do it for you. So please raise your hand, or if you can't figure out how to do that, you can put a message in the chat indicating that you wish to answer a question. Okay, so seeing no further hands raised or indications of questions, I would just like to thank all of you for having joined us this morning. A special thanks to the media for engaging with us and helping us, drive forward this conversation about BIBA's role in the development of the economy and society of Barbados, and also the partnerships that we have in place and are further working on to advance that goal. I would ask you all to stay tuned as we roll out further information about our various activities over the next year for the 25th anniversary, and to please show us your support both online and in person as we stage our events. So thank you, everybody, and I wish you a wonderful day. Goodbye.